All right, it has been a couple of years since I last made a video about my free Bible study template, and it's a little bit outdated. So today we're going to review the new version of the template and also talk about how to actually use this, especially if you're new to Notion. It can be really overwhelming when you first get in here. So let's start with the super basics. When you click on the link to download the template, you will see either start with this template or duplicate this template. That is the very first thing that you need to do. So when I click start with this template, it's going to ask if I want to leave the site. And if you don't already have a Notion account, it will prompt you to make one. If you do, you'll be able to choose where you want it. So you're going to add it to the account that you would like. Now, this is a very large template and it can run into the issues sometimes. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of control over how these are duplicated, but we have found that if you just give it a while and leave it on this page, it usually doesn't have any issues. However, if there are problems, you will see that there's also a link to a simplified version of the template, and this one is broken down to the most basic parts. There's no extras in it like Bible study reading plans or things like that. So it is a lot more basic and it can be duplicated a little bit faster. So if you're having issues, try this one. Worst case, come back to it and try it in about an hour. Usually that fixes it. So we will let this load and see how long that truly does take. And it does look like our template is now ready in our actual workspace, so that didn't take too long to copy. So just keep that in mind. If you're having any issues, just be patient. But it did take about 20 minutes to copy into here. So if you have any issues with that, just be patient, keep trying. It is a little bit slow, but I promise it's well worth the wait. Now, when you first have the duplicated template, it's going to look just like this. And we're going to start working through the databases first. So there are multiple databases here that kind of run this template. These should not be deleted. That will break the connections. Each of these are linked to each other to be able to allow you to create links between your books, your notes, and all of the different components that go into this. You can click and drag on these three little gray dots that appear, and you can reorder these as you would like. Let's open up books first, as this is one of the larger of the templates. So these are all of the books of the Bible. You can hover over the name of the book and you'll see a little tab that says open. This is how you actually open up the page. Most of these will open in the side peek view, which will just open off to the side. If you would like the full view, you can open it in a full page by clicking on this little arrow up here. Each page sometimes has tabs in it. So this one, for example, has 5 different tabs. On the overview tab, you'll see some resources that we have pre-loaded into here. You also will see a quick link to the notes. The other tabs are actually relational tabs. So if you don't see any content in here, it's because no relations have been made yet. So for example, we see the author in here is Moses, and then we can see a little bit about Moses. If we click on this page, it will actually open up to our people database. So these are all interconnected with each other. So we can open up the book of Ruth. And we have that same view as we just did with Genesis, where we have the main page here, we have the author, and then we have other relational tabs. So the people who are in the story can be linked, the places that the story takes place, and any notes that you might have on it. Now, you can create existing links. So if you have a note that already exists about this, you can link it here. Or you can click new page and it will automatically create the connection to Ruth from this screen. Control Z will undo anything. So if you accidentally click on something you're not supposed to or delete something you didn't mean to, Control Z is the solution. Along with these tabs, we also have these 3 little dots on the side of our properties here. This will open up a separate property panel off to the right. Not all of the database items have this, but many of them do. And this just hides some of the information that you might not need to see all at once. So for example, we have the author in 2 places. So we have the author view, and we have a quick link to the author where you can unlink a page or add a new author page. We also have the same thing with people in it, places in it, and our notes. We also have links to the different books. So with the licensing regarding different versions of the Bible, I can't actually copy the entire Bible into here. But what I can do is link to these pages. So if you want to read the Christian Standard Bible, for example, if you click on that link, it will open up that chapter in a new page. We want to make this as easy to use depending on what version of the Bible you want. Now, if you know that you're only ever going to read the Christian Standard Bible and you want this template to run a little bit quicker, you can delete these other two properties if you don't want English Standard Version or King James. The web version of the Bible, however, does have open licensing, which means that I can directly link to the Bible in here. So if you open up the web version of the Bible, you can see the text directly in Notion, which means you can open each chapter and you can highlight, copy, paste, type, add notes, add comments, whatever you would like in here. The highlighting functionality is very similar to any Word document that you've ever used before. You can change colors, bold, fonts, whatever. You can even add reactions to certain texts so that you can see them pop up on the side here. You can also mark them as resolved or add additional notes over time. Up at the top here, we have breadcrumbs. And what this does is allow you to quickly move through the navigation. So we are in Ruth chapter 1, but I can click back to go to Ruth, to the web Bible, and to the overall Bible study template. Now let's look at our notes. This is the database that I hope you will use a lot. I have pre-filled a few notes just as examples in here, but let's open one up to see what it looks like. Within the Notion page itself, like the actual content here, you can click anywhere and start typing. And you have a lot of different formatting or blocks that you can use. You can add basic text, headers, bulleted lists, whatever you need in here, including images, videos, audio, bookmarks from the web, etc. You can also use shortcuts like a little dashed line with a space to create a bullet point. And there's a lot of different keyboard shortcuts you can use in Notion overall. If you are totally new to Notion, you don't have to worry too much about that. Just use this for what you want and you'll start to learn some of that formatting over time. The notes also has dates, some different types of notes, but these can all be customized to be whatever you want them to be. So if you want to add a new option, for example, let's say it's like a friendly conversation, you can just start to type it out and hit enter, and that will be added as an option. If you ever want to delete options, you click on the three dots and choose delete. You can also change the colors here or add little descriptions if you need reminders of what each one might mean. Same goes for topics. I have preloaded some topics in here, but you can add whatever you would like that help you keep your notes organized. Again, we have a view details pane on the right here, and this has additional properties that you can add. There might be links to Bible studies that I've created or other resources like the Bible Project, but whatever you want to add here that helps you do the best studying possible, it is very easy to do. The other cool thing that you can do in notes is reference the actual text itself. So for example, we have Proverbs 31 here. And what we can do is use the @ symbol. And if we start to type out the short name for the book with the actual verse that we're referencing or the chapter that we're referencing, then we can find it within here. So Proverbs 31. And now we have a direct link to that web version of the Bible, which makes it really easy for us to then click to it and see the actual chapters that we're referencing. You can even reference individual line items. So if we wanted to reference verse 10 specifically, I can click on those 6 little gray dots, choose copy link to block, and then if I go back into my notes here, I can either add a link with this little formatting option, or if I highlight the area I want to link and then hit Control V, it will link for me. So now it'll take me directly to the block that I have just linked and highlight it for me. That makes it super quick and easy to navigate to different notes, and it gives you a nice way to start to interconnect all of the notes that you're taking as you build up all of your notes over time. There's a few other databases here that I'm going to run through quickly. We have prayers. This is just a quick way to track prayers that you have for other people or just general ones. I have the Lord's Prayer in here as the example. You can also choose statuses, so you can track what prayers have been answered. I find this really interesting to do over time because I find that a lot of my prayers go answered and I don't really realize it. We have people in the Bible. That also links to places, books that they are referenced in, and books that they are the author of, as well as their family. So Boaz, for example, is linked to Ruth and Naomi. We have places, because understanding where in the world this happened can often give you a lot more context. You can add more places over time, and these are all, again, linked to people, books, and your notes. We have concepts. I have some basic ones in here that are from the Bible Project, but you can add your own and add additional notes into any of these. Reading plans is available on the full version of this, not the simplified version. But if you want to follow a reading plan, I have two already in here. There's the Bible in 1 year and daily Psalm and Proverbs to read. You can also use this generator that I've linked to create your own Bible study plan for a timeline that works for you. And then we have the web Bible, which we've already talked about. You can view them in a couple different versions here, but you can also see it relating back to the book notes that we actually have within this. And again, if you aren't going to use the web Bible, you can delete this database to save some room, but I recommend keeping it so that you can link to verses directly like I showed you. We also have a few buttons here that will just do quick actions for you. So this one will quickly create a new note. At the bottom of your screen, you can choose to open it or undo. But you should also see your notes in this dashboard here for quick access. Things will automatically be tagged with today from that one, but you can rename that to be whatever you need it to be. There's also a button for quick prayer requests, and this makes it really easy if you are accessing this from the mobile version to quickly take notes in church or make a prayer request while speaking with a friend. There's a few fun resources on this left side here. The Bible Project is referenced a lot throughout this plan. They have a lot of amazing resources. The Logos Bible software is a software I use for my own Bible study and works really well with this Notion template to research commentaries and all kinds of cool stuff. The Bible by YouVersion offers hundreds of different translations of the text and is a great resource if you want to add your own version to this list. And then there's a few others throughout here that I really recommend you check out. I also have a playlist here with a bunch of worship songs so that if you want to listen through, you can, but you can also replace this with your own Spotify widget by just pasting the link in here. So if you open up your playlist in Spotify, copy that link, and then you can paste it in Notion and choose the option Embed. This will create a little widget for you that you can use ongoing. I tried to keep things very basic and simple because the goal here is that you will start to fill in all of this by yourself through study, through ongoing notes, and I really hope that this is a helpful resource for you. If you have any questions about this, you are always welcome to email me or leave comments on this video. Try to respond to things as quickly as I can, but I really hope that overall this is a great resource and that you have a wonderful time using it.